the beef between T.I. and 50 Cent that sort of sparked up out of nowhere?
I kind of see sometimes where rappers get into beefs and stuff like that because culturally, in like the hip hop culture, which, like I said, was the b-boy interlaced with the b-boy culture, that was kind of how things started out. And it was actually in lieu of actually having physical altercations, you know what I mean?
Right. So to recap, T.I. was on an interview. He said, hey, you know, they were asking about a versus with 50 Cent. He said, hey, things didn't go well with he and I, so I have no ambitions to do any business with him. And I think that's fair. Like, you can say that. Like, there's a lot of people that, you know, I would be like, hey, no, I'm not going to do business with them. And you know what? Here's a quick business tip. It's because you have to have some goodwill and friendship in the business, because when you need somebody to go the extra mile, the question is, will they cause problems? And if you don't feel like you have a good relationship with them, it's not worth doing the business. So I think that was fair for T.I. to say because of past history.
Well, you know what? Okay, so E is like definitely the subject matter expert in the PlayBook crew for all things hip hop, you know, and stuff like that. So, and I you know, we appreciate him bringing that to the table because, you know, like I said, I listen to a wide variety of music now, but if you check out Joe Coy as he talks about like mumble rap and stuff and versus Biggie, and you know, like I kind of, you know, I DJ'd for a lot of years. I don't know if you can see behind me. There's a bunch of vinyl on there. You know, I was old school Techniques 1200s. You know, before Serato, before you could do it. You know, but like I just don't keep up with all the current hip hop stuff because some of it's just garbage now. You know what I mean? And so, But like I said, piggybacking on what you said about business, though, before we start talking about specifics about the 50 Cent T.I. beef, my wife and I have been business owners numerous times for a number of years now, and you and I never talked about this aspect of business, but what you said is spot on. You know, for people that are thinking about starting a business or who you want into business with, we always talk about it, business being like a marriage, and it really is. Ideally, for it to be successful, it's going to have to be like a good marriage, you know? And a good marriage doesn't just work because two people love each other. You have to be like-minded, have the same kind of morals, goals, respect for each other. Because I've seen some shady stuff going on in business. And I'm not talking about businessmen that are shady. I'm not talking about like mob stuff or like, you know, businesses that aren't legit. I'm talking about physicians. I'm talking about attorneys.
Yeah.
Where somebody leaves town and goes on a vacation and they come back and their partner's like taking everything out of their name and sold the business, or I mean, just I've seen, there's probably some of the stuff that's still going on, litigation still going on, so I won't give enough details for anybody, though I may be talking about them. But like I said, you know, and in a good marriage, I mean, marriages even end, you know. I found my soulmate. It took me a couple times or so, you know, no babies mamas. That's my disclaimer. No kid, you know, at least anybody can prove. No, none out there. But like, but you know, even when a marriage ends, ideally speaking, if you were two good people, decent people, and you loved each other, you split amicably. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's the thing. Like, even though businesses end or go bad, it's like what you said. It should still be like, it's an amicable split where we're not trying to destroy each other.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, and so with T.I., he was just expressing, not saying anything bad. He didn't really go into he went into slight detail, nothing major, but he didn't say anything really bad about 50. Just that I'm not going to do any business with him. And then 50 Cent put out this meme and disrespecting T.I.'s wife and also disrespecting King's mother. So I think that's where the problem lies. It's a question to you, Tracy, as well as the audience. Like, was T.I. right? And also his son right in retaliating against 50 Cent. He said something from the perspective of disrespecting T.I. as well as his son about Tiny, which I thought was completely disrespectful. If anybody, you know, we take it back to the days of the playground. Anybody talks about my mother, you're going to get beat up. And now that we're older, anybody talks about my wife or anything like that, you're going to get beat up.
I try not to let people pull me down to their level to resort to violence. I've always done a good job, you know, personally and professionally, of de-escalating things so it doesn't have to be physically violent, you know. So that's ideally what we would want to do. But there are some things that, you know, kind of warrant you maybe to say something or do something about. But again, it's about choosing your battles, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, actions, consequences, the cost-benefit analysis. I always say that when I'm having discussions about many, many things, meaning that, you know, it's a finance term, but it's also a term that, if you think about it, it applies to everything we do in life. I think that I would have tried not to, but if you're going to say something about my my wife and my kid, or my wife from my kid's perspective and all this other stuff, I maybe would have. And you let me hear the rap that T.I. did,
Yeah.
and it sounded very like Atlanta. I'm not having it, you know?
Oh, absolutely. You know, the whole South's riding for T.I. And for the record, yeah, I even at this age or their age is they're just a little bit older than me. I would have responded because you have to because of the rules that I just explained. You know, family, your wife, your mother. Nobody's talking about that. So shout out to T.I. for retaliating. Shout out to the South for standing up. You see the comments on Jess's posts on YouTube alone, and it seems like everybody's siding with him. I'll go off on a tangent because I'm from Jersey, and like I would go down to downtown Newark to buy the latest mixtape with 50 Cent on it when we were waiting for him to get signed and do an album and blah, blah, blah. And by the time he released his first album, I heard every song that was on there before it was released because it was all on mixtapes. And the one thing I realized was that he isn't a good performer. Two, he makes like catchy hooks or whatever. He's not a great rhymer. He can make fun of people, but I think his lyrical skills aren't there. So I'll be curious to see whether he comes out with a song against T.I. because T.I. does have really good skills lyrically.
He is one of the most impressively consistent petty mofos I've ever seen. Like the thing he did with, what was your boy, Ja Rule?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And
that dude,
it was very interesting.
where he bought out the concert and stuff.
Yeah, he brought out the concert, and then he just brought Jim Jones's building and evicted him from the building so he can't record. I mean, that is epically petty, and that was kudos to you. Like that's something different. I mean,
that's gangster in a different kind of way.
it's
for
gangster.
Sure.
I hope that the investment makes you some money, but it's pretty gangster. So that's playing on a different level, and I applaud that. However, doing what he's doing right now with the regular rap beefs and stuff like that, I think that he picked the beef with the wrong one. And he always used to pick beefs with people that couldn't fight back. Like when him and Ja Rule, although like it didn't play well, I was at Summer Jam when they put Ja Rule on a Summer Jam screen and he was talking about wearing sweaters and stuff like that. And it was a bad look altogether. But Ja Rule could not reply or retaliate because he was being investigated by the feds. So it would just give them more ammo. So he had to stay quiet,
right?
Which is why his career sort of fizzled out. And then he went after Rick Ross when Rick Ross was coming up, and he was still new in the game. And
who 50 Cent did?
50 Cent did, yeah.
So I didn't even know about the Rick Ross, even though I'm not a Rick Ross fan anymore. He got the boot for a number of reasons, which we'll talk about.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah. Well, Rick Ross is on my, him.
I gotta hear it because I like his music.
Me too. I own a lot of his music. Yeah. I actually paid for it because I'm old, and I buy stuff still on like. If I don't buy this, I don't buy the necessarily CDs or the album. If I really love it, I buy the vinyl. But what I do is I buy it on iTunes and I burn them to a disc because
when the apocalypse comes, he's going to open up a Blockbuster.
That's right. I'm going to be able to rent music, record store. Yeah, I'm going to be.
He's going to be the first millionaire after the apocalypse.
That's right. That's right. Most definitely.
T.I. took a different strategy, a strategic approach, talking about he can't keep a woman because he was never loved, and he might need some counseling for that. Like, is there a strategy where you can just drop a nuke and walk away, or drop a bomb and walk away?
I get what you're, yeah.
And then make you look. I mean, everybody knows 50 Cent is petty, but make you look
like the bigger person, or
make 50 Cent look like the lower person for even replying. Just be like, is already over and done with. Is there some type of strategy for that you think of?
Yeah, but I think 50's more petty than that. I think that I do.
Yeah.
Do you think that 50 will come back with a song? Will it be like the whole Drake, Kendrick Lamar thing?
Just drop an anthem on his ass because the summer is coming. Well, spring's coming up soon. Just drop an anthem on him and then walk the hell away.
That people are gonna be playing all summer in their car.
And that's it, man. I'm out. Let us know your thoughts on this whole beef. Where you think it's gonna go? Who you think is gonna win? And let us know who you think is winning right now. Doc, you got anything to say?
No, thank you guys for watching and subscribing.
Hey, we'll catch you next time on the Playbook. Later.